Hey headphone people, MrAyrit here. Got another headphone review for you today. This one is, maybe a little offbeat. Got a older headphone here. Don't think they make it anymore. Not 100% sure on that. It is the DT1770 Pro. This is the 250 ohm version. I don't know if there were any other versions or not, but this is the one I've got. And picked this up on a trade. And, thought, why not? I also have the 17.7X Go that I will be, I'll review here in the near future, and I'll compare them a little bit. But this one's focused mainly on the 1770 Pro. So let's dig in. Let's see what you get. And, we'll talk about build, sound, all that stuff here. Just a quick plug here. If you haven't yet, consider liking and subscribing. I do lots of headphone content. I'm really trying to do a couple of videos a week of new things, and I don't have much rhyme or reason to the things that I review. It's just kind of things that I think might be interesting or that I get a good deal on. So consider subscribing if you haven't already. So what do we get here? Well, you got the headphones here. You know what? Let's not do those first though. Actually, let's look at kind of the carrying case. Again, these are used. I don't know if this is typical, but it's got kind of a semi-hard case here. I think it's the same thing the 1990 came in. I can't really remember though. It's been a while since I've had those. I know I just had a T1 second gen that I reviewed a little while ago, and it had a very similar case, except it had like a felt or like a velvety outside. This one is kind of just like plastic here. So yeah, little pouch for the cable, extra pads. I have on mine the Dakoni sheepskin pads. These are the stock ones that came with it. You can see they've got like 4 holes. They're very shallow, and you can see compared to the Dakonis, and I did not like these pads at all. So all my impressions are going to be with the Dakoni pads. I do not find the stock pads very comfortable. The Dakonis are way more comfortable. They seal better, they sound better, just all across the board better. So that's what my impressions are going to be on. The cable here, I rather like. It is coiled, obviously, and it's only about 4 foot all coiled up, but it gives you, it'll stretch out to 6-7 feet. So I really like this for at my desk, because I don't know, it's nice, and it stretches out, and it's useful. It doesn't get all tangled up or in the way. It keeps coiled, nice and compact. I like that. Has the 3.5 or the 3.5, the 3-pin mini XLR connector here. And just one thing of note is the 17.7X has like a very similar connector, and I think it's actually the same connector, but the depth is like a little bit decent. So I can't remember if this cable didn't work in that one or that cable didn't work in this one, but it didn't seem to quite fit right, which I thought was a little bit weird. So just a little bit of note there, just FYI, as far as that goes. The tip of the cable, it's screw-on 1/4 inch, pretty standard Bayer stuff there, as far as that goes. So all that being said, let's take a look at the headphones now. It's a Bayer headphone. It's older style, which means it's very tanky, very well built. This is probably pleather, headband, but it feels well cushioned, things like that. I always just kind of like the Bayer builds, just because, they're simple, they're clean, they're tough. Definitely feels like a studio use type of a headphone, something you can toss around a lot. And isn't gonna, it's gonna stand the test of time. Again, with these Dakoni pads on it, very comfortable, great seal. I like these. They're understated headphones, so if you're using them in an office or something like that, you don't look, you don't have crazy things on your head and stuff like that. So I just appreciate Bayer build, but there's nothing really new here. It's solid, metal yokes, all that. Looks clean, looks nice. No complaints in that department. So the sound on these, honestly, I put off doing this review because the first time I put these headphones on, they had the stock pads on them, and I was powering them off of my X-Can, and they sounded horrendous. I mean, just awful. Way treble hot. They were terrible, right? Then I go to plug them back in here to do a review, because I'm like, well, I got to get this review done, and I plug them into the bottle hood crack, and they sounded great. So then, since I tried them on, the Singzer, and I've got the AAA1 over there, I've got Valhalla 2, and they sounded good on all those. Definitely my favorite is the tubes, though. So here's what I would say. They need some power, right? They can't, like a little portable thing, like they sounded like terrible on those. Just way too peaky, very treble forward. Didn't sound good at all. Put them on anything with a little bit of power, and they're much more balanced and controlled, and they sound good. They sound good. They're not, I wouldn't call them a lively headphone. They're a pretty timid, balanced headphone. On solid states, not a huge fan. They don't have a lot of life to them there. Everything's well controlled and stuff like that, but they just don't really do it for me. I liked them a lot better on tubes. The tubes breathe a little bit of life into them, give it a little more bass oomph. Although maybe it dirties it up just a little bit, which is the bass is pretty tight and punchy here. You put them on, I put them on the crack, and it gets a little looser, but in a little bit more in quantity, but I do like it better. I thought the vocals, like the mids, I think the timbre on these is actually really, really excellent for a closed back. And kind of treble, like, I think is really well extended. A lot of resolution there, a lot of detail. What I would say is maybe the downfall of these headphones is, like a lot of closed backs, they can sound really kind of dead. Which means I feel like the decays and stuff, you don't get a lot of reverb and things like that. It's just kind of like the notes go and then they're gone. And I'm not a huge fan of the way this sounds, but at the same time, these have enough detail and resolution to them and great imaging separation between them that you can pick out all the little details going on, and they all have kind of their little place and things like that, and these do that really, really well. I was hearing things in tracks that I feel like I normally miss, things like backup vocals, backup guitars, little sounds that shouldn't be in the recording, little shuffles and things like that. These do a great job of picking up all those things. So I think the detailed retrieval here is really, really good. Probably the best of any closed back I've heard. But again, it does kind of have, at the same time, it kind of has that deadening sound. So it's I think for what these were made for, which is they're a pro headphone, they're a studio headphone used in a mixing, mastering, sound engineer type of a situation. I think these actually would be really phenomenal for that, probably. You give them enough power, and it's not that they're not enjoyable to listen to. They are, if that's the kind of sound you're looking for, right? If you want to hear all the little details, if you want to pick out all the little things in music, they're really good for that. As far as just a sit back, chill, listen type of a headphone, I don't think they certainly don't fit into that for me. But if that's the type of listening you're into, if you can find them, I think they're okay for that. I think they're okay. I would just make sure you get the Dakoni pads. Again, just without those Dakoni pads, I just found them really, really difficult to listen to for any extended period of time. But outside of that, as long as you got the power to push them, yeah, they're a good little closed back, I would say. Price, I traded them for something that was equivalent of $350, $400. And I think they're, for that price, adequate. I think that's a decent price for them. I definitely think they're in competition with the 17.7X and, the DCA Closed X, which I reviewed recently as well. I think they're right in that line. These are definitely the more resolving of any of those headphones. But these also, I feel need the most power and were a little bit pickier as far as source goes. So just know that going into it. But yeah, outside of that, they're good. No problems here. I'm not gonna keep them. I already actually got these traded away, so I'm gonna send them on down the road. But I'm glad I had the chance to listen to them. And again, Beyerdynamic stuff, like they never miss the mark on it. You know what I mean? That it's always a solid choice almost at whatever price point they're at, and for lots of different applications. I feel like they're a good headphone always. I just never seem to kind of end up with them, which is interesting. But it's all decent stuff, and like I said, I think the resolution capability here is pretty great for a closed back in this price range. So worth a look if you can find them or if you come across them. I think that'll do it. Again, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching. Feel free to drop comments, questions, alternative opinions down below. And like I said, I'm trying to do a couple videos a week, headphone related stuff. So, if that interests you, subscribe and stick around, and I will see you in the next one.